Our next guest today is California gubernatorial candidate Steve Hilton. He argues that few people would have had as much of an insight into Joe Biden's mental and physical decline as former Vice President Kamala Harris. Her role as second in command and her very close coordination with him illustrate that she should have been fully aware of his degeneration and just been honest about it with the American people. And in Steve's view, her role at the epicenter of this historic and unprecedented cover-up disqualifies her from future office. It's abundantly clear that Biden had no business steering the world's largest economy, navigating multiple world crises, and holding the nuclear codes, among many other things. Yet that's exactly what happened, as his closest allies and advisors colluded to mask his diminished state from the American people, and really from the world. And they led us all to believe that he was firmly in charge of the country when he was anything but. And we still don't know who really was. Was it Barack Obama? Was it Joe Biden? Was it Tony Blinken? We just don't know. And no one deserves more blame for that cover-up than Kamala herself, who failed to speak up about his mental slide for years, not just once, but every single day for nearly 4 years. So her role at the epicenter of the cover-up should clearly disqualify her from any future office at any level, whether it be a run for the governor of California or, God forbid, another run at the presidency. She's proven that when it really matters, she'll lie right to the American people to protect her own power and her allies, rather than giving them honesty, clarity, and the leadership we all deserve. So obviously, the question begs, how can we trust her to be honest with us on things like illegal immigration, foreign policy, or even the economy, when she can't even admit to what was clear as day to the American people during Biden's so-called presidency? Her role in the cover-up is clearly indicative of the larger rot in the Democratic Party as well, led by people like the likes of Gavin Newsom, whose disastrous policies have all but caused my home state of California to basically be destroyed. So Steve is running to become the next governor of the Golden State so he can reverse that damage and make California golden once again.
California means to America what America means to the world. Let's make California the land of opportunity again. Great jobs, great homes, great kids. Let's make California an inspiration again. The very best of America. There's only one way to do that. We've got to end the one-party rule that got us into this mess. It's time to end the years of Democrat failure. It's time for a new future. That's why I'm running for governor. To make this beautiful state that we love so much truly golden again.
So without further ado, here's the man himself, California gubernatorial candidate Steve Hilton. Steve, thank you for being here.
Of course, it's so great to be with you. I feel your pain as you're talking about your home state and what these far-left lunatics and machine politicians have done to it. But the good news is we can turn it around as long as we fight hard. I really feel the tide is turning and we can make something happen. It's not going to be easy, but I know that we can do it.
I hope so. I just want to give you some background about me because this is really important to me for a lot of reasons. But number one, born and raised in California, and it's a beautiful place. I've had family in California for over 100 years, since at least the early 1900s. Wow. So I have very deep roots here, born and raised here. I live and work here. I'm not going anywhere. And like many people who are transplants to this state, I can tell you that it used to be safe and clean and affordable, and the people were kind, and we had good policies, and we were the apple of the whole world's eye. So I've seen California start up here where it was just miraculous. The natural beauty, the schools, the opportunity, the economy, Silicon Valley, and it's just been sliding and sliding and sliding into what feels like a descent into chaos and anarchy. So, and I do think it's on Democrats almost exclusively. So I want to get your thoughts about what we need to do in terms of fixing this beautiful state.
Well, number one, we have to end this culture of rewarding bad behavior and punishing good behavior. That goes right across all of society, clearly on crime and homelessness and all the rest of it. But it's also true with working families and small business, people who are just doing the right thing and trying hard to make it and create jobs and wealth and opportunity for themselves, for their community, for their family. They're being punished with this insane onslaught from this massive, bloated, bureaucratic nanny state government that gets worse and worse every year. The rules, the regulations, the fees, the permits, the processes, the taxes. We have the highest taxes in the country. We have the worst business climate in the country. The result is the highest rate of poverty in the country from these people, these Democrats who endlessly lecture us about social justice and compassion and equity. They've given us the highest poverty rate in all of America, the highest costs for rent, housing, water, gas, electricity, everything, the most expensive in the country. And as a result of all of that, for most of last year, we had the highest rate of unemployment in all of America. Right now, I think we're number 3. The schools are a disaster. We spent more money on public schools than just about anywhere else to get the worst results. I mean, everything is a disaster. That's why I recently, the first step in running for governor, I just looked at all the policy areas, identified what's wrong, and put out a plan for how we can turn it around. That was all in a book called Califalia, Reversing the Ruin of America's Worst Run State. It is the worst run state in America. But the good news is that means all these problems, they're not natural disasters, they're man-made disasters, or more specifically, as you were just saying, Democrat-made disasters. That means we can turn it around. So we just got to get together, build an army to take back power from these people who've become so corrupt and incompetent and ideological. And then we've got a real chance, I think, of winning in 2026 and saving this beautiful state.
So there's a lot there to unpack. Can we focus on homelessness for a minute? I was just in downtown San Diego not too long ago, and I've seen that city. It's a very remarkable place, but you can see homelessness getting worse and worse. And Steve, I have to say, it's just heartbreaking. People sleeping in tent cities, just on the curb, people clearly under the influence of something. They need help, and local Democrats just let them rot. And of all the issues we're dealing with, crime, corruption, the cost of living, homelessness is one that just keeps getting worse, even though they throw more and more money at it every year. So what is your plan for getting that issue under control?
Yes, you're right. And it's the very visible symbol of the degradation of public spaces of our cities. Yes. And that really has an impact far beyond just the homeless individuals concerned or people who encounter it. It just creates this sense of squalor and decay that is so pervasive. It contributes to the crime problem, the quality of life, all of those things, businesses leaving, it all goes together. So what are we going to do about it on homelessness? Number one, it's a 3-point plan. Number one, enforce the law. It is illegal to sleep on the streets, to camp on the streets. Homeless encampments are illegal, and yet they've been tolerated for like decades now in California, and the problem's getting worse. So you have to enforce the law, clear the homeless encampments. And if local cities won't do it or counties won't do it, it's an emergency. And that we saw what Gavin Newsom did with his cruel and destructive lockdowns that were totally unjustified, shutting down the state with emergency powers. Well, if local government won't do it, I will do it, because it is an emergency. We'll, number one, enforce the law, clear the homeless encampments. Number two, as you said, over 80% of people who are sleeping on the streets in this situation either are addicted to drugs or alcohol or have mental health problems or some combination of all of that. Right now, we have a law in California passed in 2016 called Housing First, which means that any organization getting state money to deal with homelessness is not allowed to put any conditions on shelter. You can't require sobriety, you can't require mental health treatment, you can't require drug addiction treatment, nothing. That is ridiculous. They've basically made it illegal to solve the problem. So we have to overturn Housing First and make sure that people get into treatment for their addiction and mental health services. And point number three is we have to provide mental health services. They've taken all of that money that was supposed to go for homelessness, billions of dollars. The last count, over $30 billion. And they've put it in the pockets of their cronies in the homeless industrial complex instead of funding the mental health treatment that we actually need. So that's the third point, expand mental health treatment. And there's a very technical aspect to that as well, which is to get a waiver from Medicaid so that the money can be reimbursed. For years, Medicaid wouldn't reimburse mental health treatment for any facility with more than 16 beds. The first Trump administration, first time around, President Trump created a waiver program for states to be able to provide mental health care. California, of course, didn't apply for it. As governor, I will. So it's enforce the law, require addiction treatment in exchange for shelter, and provide mental health services. That's how we deal with homelessness.
It just sounds like common sense. It really does. Steve, I do want to pivot, though, for a moment. I hate to even bring up Gavin Newsom and give him airtime because I think he's a clown and he's very corrupt. But I do want to ask you, because it seems like he's angling for some future office. So on the note of Kamala Harris, what do you see in store for Gavin Newsom?
So he's clearly been running for president for years. That's why there's no follow through on anything in terms of action to help California. And everything just gets worse and worse and worse, even though we pay more and more and more in taxes.
Yes.
So he's clearly not interested in the governance of California. He's not serious about that at all. And you saw that just last week. We had a couple of examples where on homelessness, actually, I mean, he was trying to signal to the national media, because obviously he knows that the California record is just going to be an absolute disaster for him running for president. People will say, what, you're going to do to America what you did to California? No, thanks. So he's trying to look as if he's solving the problem. So he puts out this announcement on homelessness. But when you actually look at it, there's no action on homelessness from Gavin Newsom that's new. It was just a list of suggestions for local government. And even worse than that, if you read the suggestions, it wasn't even about removing homeless encampments, as I was just talking about. It's about moving them, literally moving them 200 yards every 3 days. That's his great plan for homelessness. This guy's a joke. Then later on last week, it was a knockout week for Gavin Newsom. On Wednesday last week, he published his new budget. And in that budget, even despite what he was trying to signal to the media, there was an increase in spending on healthcare for illegal immigrants,
Yes.
going up from 9.5 billion this year to 12.1 billion next year, an increase, and an increase in spending on the state bureaucracy that's making life a misery for every small business and every family. And a huge increase, an 18% increase in spending on pure bureaucracy, right? This is what you get from this guy. Why does he do that? Because it's payback for his donors, the
Yes.
government unions.
Yes.
And so that's what everyone needs to understand. Just like Kamala Harris, just like Joe Biden, Gavin Newsom is a machine politician, a creature of the Democrat machine. And so his priority will not be our interests here in California or everyone's interests around the country. If he runs for president, he doesn't work for us. He works for them, the government unions. They're the ones who'll be in charge, along with the far left activists who have given Newsom and all these people in these politicians in California their ideological instructions. And we see the result, the worst outcomes of any state in America.
And even Democrats see it too. Just talk to people one-on-one and look at the homelessness, the cost of living. Clearly the state is being run into the ground, and people for some weird reason don't want to attach that to Gavin Newsom. I think that's why he survived multiple recall efforts. But setting that aside, you make such a good point. So final thoughts for you, Steve. If people want to know more about your campaign, how they could maybe get involved and learn more about your background, where can they go?
Thank you so much. I mean, we need everyone to get involved because, like I keep saying, I think we have a shot. I'm doing this because I know I can win. And when I win, I really can make a quick difference turning things around in California, cutting the regulations and the bureaucracy and the taxes. But it's not going to be easy. They've got a very powerful, well-funded machine with our money, the government unions in particular. We've got to fight back. We need to build an army, a grassroots army. So SteveHiltonForGovernor.com, F-O-R. SteveHiltonForGovernor.com. There's a button at the top of the homepage saying get involved. I'd love your support. We're just getting going. It's the early days for our campaign, so we're getting organized. But if you sign up to get involved, we will get back to you in the weeks and months ahead as we build this movement for change so we can restore California to our glory, make this state golden again.
I got goosebumps. I'm sorry. Just music to my ears, Steve. So thank you for what you're doing. And thank you for your time today.
Of course. Great to be with you. Thank you.